Good evening, and welcome to Who's Right. I'm Sandra McFadden, and tonight our guest is Rebecca Kleefisch, the newly elected Lieutenant Governor from Wisconsin. And Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We are delighted to have you. I am so interested in your background because everyone knows you as an anchor, and you're famous for that, and you're our star for that. But I'm interested in the period of time where you were a stay-at-home mom, and you had your two little children, and you were a kitchen table kind of blogger, and you decided that you wanted to make a difference. Can you tell us about that time?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, that's very kind of you to say that I was famous. I think I'm famous in my mom's mind, and maybe my husband's, but certainly not my children's. You know that I left television to stay at home with my one daughter, Ella, and then eventually we had Violet. And we decided, after a few months of me staying at home, that it was going to be a little bit tougher than we thought on the old pocketbook. And so from home, I started my own media and marketing company. And so I was able to go out, get a terrific client roster, and solicit some really wonderful business. Worked with clients from the biggest tier of businesses in the state of Wisconsin down to the mom and pop general store, believe it or not, in rural Wisconsin. And so the wonderful thing is I got to experience promoting and branding products and businesses of truly all types in the time that I was able to spend more time with my little kids at home. But you asked about the moments, I guess, that I decided that public service is where I would go next. And I don't know that there necessarily was one single moment. Every day I wake up and I see a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and these little daughters of mine, I want to have the most beautiful, bright futures imaginable. And I want them to have those futures right here in the great state of Wisconsin. You know, my great-great-great-grandparents moved west to Wisconsin. My great-great-great-grandfather to build the Sheboygan-Fond du Lac Railroad. And they saw a future here. They saw something exciting in the state of Wisconsin. I want to give that to my children. I want to give that joy to my children and that future to my children. For the first time in generations, we see a group of people who are concerned that their children's futures may not be as bright as theirs have been. And so I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be the case for my kids and an entire generation of kids. And I saw spending out of control, like you mentioned, kitchen table common sense. One of the things that I felt our government had completely lost. Our government had lost track of the plight of the job creator, the economic movers and shakers who put Wisconsin to work. And we had not given our small businesses the tools they needed in order to create more jobs. I saw a deep economic recession, and I saw an opportunity to help. My background is in media and marketing, and I saw an opportunity where we needed to prospect for good job creators to come to Wisconsin and create good Wisconsin jobs. I saw an opportunity where we could go out and promote Wisconsin as the state that was truly open for business again, as long as we had the right plan moving forward. And under the Walker administration, we have the right plan moving forward.
I see still a moment, even before when you were an anchor, sitting with all those progressives on a network news. Wasn't it difficult for you to just not express yourself? And where did that tear down this wall moment come from going from anchor to like politician?
Well, I think there was some frustration because you know that despite the fact that I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, in the journalism school, I still emerged a conservative. And so there were moments occasionally of frustration, but don't forget I worked at local news. I wasn't at a network, and I think the media bias that we talk a lot about and we hear a lot about is larger on the network scale than it is on the local scale. Now, I'm not saying for a second that I never saw it, where I worked, both in Rockford and Milwaukee. But I will say that there are still some very good journalists out there who do their very best to be completely unbiased and very ethical. I consider myself one of the people who tried to be very unbiased and very ethical, but tell the story truly so people could understand. Take a lot of facts, digest them, distill them so that people at home could understand. That's part of my job even today. You know, we talk in our budget briefings in billions and millions. The average family doesn't talk in billions and millions. We talk in 20s and 10s. We talk about making our budget work. We talk about the price of gas being up over $3. And we talk about the fact that we're going to need more coupons this month in order to get the things that we need from the grocery store. That's how folks in Wisconsin talk. We're hard-working families in the state of Wisconsin. And I saw that not only as a journalist, but also as a mother and someone who owned her own small business, my marketing company, and I saw that on the campaign trail. I don't think there was one single moment, but I will tell you that at the moment that I sat at my kitchen table to talk about kitchen table common sense and a campaign that was going to be unlike really any other in the state of Wisconsin, I was excited by the ideals that move the average Wisconsin family forward.
You have a heartfelt connection with small business owners.
Well, and that's one of the jobs that I will have as a jobs ambassador, what Governor Walker likes to refer to the lieutenant governor's position as.
I was going to ask you that.
We are going to start a series of small business roundtables. I will travel around the state, and we are actually going to start a discourse with the job creators, the small business owners in the great state of Wisconsin. We want to know, straight from the horse's mouth, what's working, what's not working, and how we can get government out of the way so small businesses can do what they do best, and that is create jobs and make progress. We know that nationwide about 80% of jobs are created through small businesses. We want to see 10,000 new small businesses right here in the state of Wisconsin in 4 years. 250,000 new jobs. It's an ambitious goal.
That is.
We know it, but we are aggressively moving forward in accomplishing what we hope to see.
So that's Rebecca Kleefish's assignment, is get the jobs into Wisconsin.
Absolutely. My job will focus on economic development, and already the Lieutenant Governor's office has functioned as a wonderful conduit for prospecting for our Department of Commerce, which, you know, we are moving forward in changing into a public-private partnership, something that we think will be incredibly effective moving forward as the WEDC. I'm so excited about our new Secretary of Commerce, Paul Jaden. I think that he is the economic development official to make this really happen.
Wow, that's exciting, because that will make all the difference in the world for Wisconsin, and it would set it apart from all the other states.
It really will. When you talk about what's happened in Illinois just in the last week, I was talking to someone the other day. I said, you know, despite the fact that Illinois will criticize some of our taxes, if you take a look at the vector that each of our states is on, and if you take a look at where Wisconsin is going, where Illinois is going, two totally different directions.
Right next to each other and going in two different directions.
Job creators have a clear choice, and I think that choice is Wisconsin.
So are we pulling businesses and people out of Illinois into Wisconsin?
I think that's exactly what we should do, and we need to aggressively pursue the job creators of Illinois who are frustrated by their tax climate now, who are frustrated by the tax increases that Governor Quinn has championed over the last couple of weeks, who are frustrated with the direction in which their government is taking them. We need to go ahead and pursue those businesses, those job creators, ask them to take another look at the great state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin is open for business again.
Interesting. Well, you're the right person to do it. There's no question. You are Miss Wisconsin for business. Governor Walker made a decision to join with Florida on Obamacare. And what I wanted to ask you, what is your stand on repeal versus amendment? And where do you see this going for Wisconsin?
Our great Attorney General, J.B. Van Hollen, has
Right.
been itching to join this lawsuit. Now we have 26 states and the NFIB on this lawsuit. It's incredibly exciting because what we see is a great overstepping of bounds by the federal government in dictating what we should and should not do, what are best practices and what are not in healthcare. We know that I have lots of experience in healthcare over the last year with the colon cancer that I experienced. And so to watch Wisconsin join with this lawsuit was a great victory. Governor Walker authorized our Attorney General to do this on day one, and I think voters are so enthused about that decision because they're concerned. You know, this is a 10th Amendment issue. This is a states' right issue.
It is.
You cannot dictate to the private person that they must buy a private product off the private market or be fined unless they don't. It's scary stuff.
Yes, it is. So in the future, how do you, Rebecca, see this? Do you see it as a federal law or a state issue law? I mean, when you're seeing an outcome that you would prefer out of health care, how do you see it?
Well, we know that there are health care problems, period. But they're not going to be solved by government-run health care.
Right.
Government-run health care is defined as the government takeover of healthcare, and when you assign 100+ new bureaucracies to dictate who gets what and what are best practices and what doctors should and should not be doing and how practices should be organized, that's government-run healthcare, and that's what we're talking about repealing potentially in 2013, and that is what we're talking about suing over today. Now, in the state, we're talking about different solutions to health care. For example, this past week, not taxing health savings accounts. You know, we're one of very few states that actually still taxes health savings accounts. This is something that prevents job creators from thinking that it's a great idea to come to Wisconsin, and it's just punitive to someone who actually wants to save up for their own health care. And so what we need to do in the state of Wisconsin is pass this legislation and make sure that that goes forward. Tort reform is another thing. We want to make sure that we are protecting our patients and protecting our doctors.
Right. What about being able to buy health care across state lines?
Absolutely. We should be able to buy health care across state lines. And that's another one of the things that Governor Walker is delving deeply into, especially, you know, as we move forward. We're facing some serious budget challenges, but health care is one of the issues that just cannot be ignored, especially as a generation, the baby boomers, age. You know, the first number of baby boomers turned 65 this month. This is a problem that cannot be ignored.
No, it can't. And
healthcare will continue to be a debate for years to come.
Yes, it will. What do you do with the people who slip through the cracks, the very, very poor people who cannot get coverage?
Well, in the state of Wisconsin, there is a plan for the people who you say may well slip through the cracks, the very poorest and the neediest of people. Badger Care is there for them. You know, in a lot of cases, you know, family care, senior care, Medicaid, Medicare Part D for seniors. Senior care is something that's available on the state level as well. There are many plans available to the neediest of people, and we want to make sure that they're taking advantage of that coverage, because truly one of the functions of government is to take care of our neediest and most vulnerable citizens.
What do you see, if you're 4 years in the future, looking back at your term, what do you see for Rebecca Kleefisch?
Well, hopefully I see 4 more years.
Yes, exactly. That
between
is,
you and me
doubt,
and the television cameras.
But what do you see having accomplished for yourself and for
I hope
Wisconsin?
to look back at these 4 years and see an administration that has watched 250,000 new jobs be created. I hope to look back over the next 4 years and see an administration that has watched the private sector create 10,000 new jobs. I hope to see companies continue to invest in our education system so that we have the best educated workforce, not just in the Midwest or the nation, but around the globe, like GE did today at Milwaukee Public Schools, investing $20.4 million over 5 years into the education of our students. And I hope to look at my little girls 4 years from now and have done something to make their futures brighter.
Ah, wonderful. Well, you heard it right from Rebecca's mouth, and she has a plan for the future, and I am all for it. So now it's up to you to decide who's right.